Happy New Year. Welcome year 2025 from Creeping to Preaching. I'm your host, Renee R. White, a native and a proud Washingtonian, born and raised and still live here in the heart of D.C. I spent many years of my life in this incredible city, and it's not just my home, it's where my story began and where my passion for uplifting my community, especially the youth. This podcast is a space where we can have real, raw conversations about life, faith, and purpose, all rooted in the experience of someone who has walked these very streets and understands the struggles and the beauty of life in D.C. Listeners, we are episode 12. Oh my goodness. I would like to extend a warm invitation to anyone who would like to come on this podcast to share their story. If this is for you, please email me on my website for more details. Give me all your information. I would like to hear from you. Or if you would like to discuss one of my previous topics, just drop me a line and I'll gladly revisit the topic. Listeners, today, I like to talk about a story. I even called this Rope-a-Dope Love. This is Rope-a-Dope Love. I remember the day extremely vividly, like it was just like yesterday. I was just 14 years old, still a child, trying to navigate the world far too heavy for me. That day, I had my first abortion. The experience was a mix of emotion, confusion, and emptiness. At 14, I didn't fully understand what was going on or the weight of it all. I only knew I didn't want to feel judged, and I didn't want to face it alone. But I wasn't alone. He was there, my ex-boyfriend. Except we weren't the same. He was older than me. Not just by a few years, but in ways that made this whole situation even more complicated. He had been through life more than me, but in so many ways, he was just as lost as I was. As soon as I stepped out of that clinic on 17th and Q, he was waiting for me. The moment we saw each other, it was as if every emotion we both been holding on, it came pouring down. But instead of comfort, it turned into chaos. He was angry, yelling, blaming me, pointing fingers like I had all to blame. And it was just all my fault. And it wasn't. Right there, we started fighting. Words flew back and forth, cutting deep, hurting worse than anything before. You see, that day, I was already dealing with the shame, the pain, and the fear. I let it all out right there in that fight. And he did too. It wasn't he definitely wasn't some innocent bystander. Not at all in this. But he acted like he carried no responsibility. That's what burned most. We fought all the way back uptown, step by step, toe to toe, argument to argument. It didn't matter. We were in the middle of the street with people looking on. I didn't care. I felt so raw, so exposed, like my whole life had been laid bare. And this fight was just one last thing for the world to see. And then we would finally make up. We'd go back uptown, and the silence began. Here we go. We were both drained, too tired to keep hurling words at each other. I sat down for a moment, thinking maybe I finally gotten through to him. Or maybe he just gotten tired of blaming me. But here's the thing about us. The same way we fought, we made up just as fast. And before long, we found ourselves walking back down Chaplin Street like we didn't just spend the last hour tearing each other apart. He reached out for my hand and I let him. I told myself it was love. That this was how it was supposed to be and how I was supposed to feel. Even though I was just a kid and he was older, I thought this toxic push and pull was normal. Looking back, I see how dangerous that dynamic was. He was older and I was young, so impressionable. I didn't understand the power, the imbalance, or how wrong it was. I thought I was grown, but I wasn't. I thought he cared for me in a way I needed, but he didn't. For anyone out there listening, I want you to hear this. If you're young and in a relationship where you feel powerless, where someone older is leading you down a path you're not ready for, know that it's not okay and it's all right to step away. I didn't know how to say no. I didn't know how to stop the cycle I was in. But you can. Know that you can step away. I share this story not to relive the pain, but to show you that I've survived it, even when it felt like I wouldn't. If you're in a situation like this, I hope my story gives you the courage to stand up for yourself, to break free, to choose something better. You deserve more than what I settled for back then. And you're not alone. Let's keep this conversation going. I'm excited to hear how you're peeling back your layers and seeing how you can escape a rope of dope love. Also, make sure to visit my website at creepingandpreaching.com for more updates, resources, fresh merch, and information about upcoming episodes. I'd like to thank my producer, McKinley, with Moving in Motion by Mac. See you next week.